Okay, how do we start?
Good morning. Good afternoon.
But what is it? But how do I say it?
Good
Evening. You pick one of them. Whatever it is for you, you pick that. I'll just, good morning.
Good evening.
I kind of miss doing that. I just woke up from a nap. I was so tired. So
Are we in or are we out?
we're in. Are we in or are we out?
I never know. I don't do this often.
Okay, a couple things first. People have commented on the cat clock that we didn't even realize.
Yes.
Turn more towards the camera then so that you're looking. Okay, yeah, the cat clock is right in between us. So people were saying, and you have another one up there. No, it's not distracting. They thought it was cute. You have another one up there, and then I saw you have a white one in your bedroom.
I have 4 cat clocks. I love cat clocks.
Where did you get them? At the thrift shop?
From Amazon.
Oh, from Amazon.
Where
Oh,
else?
okay. I was wondering.
I've had them for years, but they only last so long, and then you have to get a different one.
Oh, the whole clock?
The whole clock. Yeah.
Why?
Well, because they don't make them like they did years ago.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they've been around since I was 15. Yeah.
Yeah, their eyes go like this the whole time.
And their tail goes like this.
Remember when we had a cuckoo clock?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, and that thing would come out every hour. Back.
It was annoying. It was annoying.
Well, even downstairs, Sandy and Dan have a grandfather clock.
I have one.
And it goes off every single hour.
Yeah.
We had one growing up too. Anybody else have a grandfather clock? Does anybody still have a grandfather clock? How about, or a cuckoo clock? Remember those?
Cuckoo clocks, yes.
Remember Grandma Tischler, Grandma Bar, we called her Grandma Bar because her name was Barbara, which was weird.
Yes.
But she had a cuckoo clock too, didn't she?
She did.
You know what she had that I'll never forget? Because we used to go over there every Sunday, and all of her couches were covered in plastic.
That was, yes, and it was so uncomfortable.
And you'd sit on it, especially in the summer, and then you'd get up and you'd be like... And then she had one of those, it wasn't a fountain, but it was like a lady.
It was a lamp. It was a lamp, but it was...
then it had oil.
Yes.
Like it was water or something coming down the thing. Oh, yes. Wait, we got a cheers. She drank before we cheered.
Yes. Well, I do that all the time.
She drinks first. And we don't drink before this, and this is all we have. So we're not like we're alcoholics because it looks like we're drinking all the time. Although we did take Pam out today.
Yes.
Pam lives in the assisted living home to lunch at Applebee's. And she wanted, what does she drink? A brandy Alexander.
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, so we had a beer at lunch.
Yeah.
I think that's why I took a nap afterwards. So this tonight, no menage a trois tonight.
No, I didn't know.
Really?
I don't know why I had
Now
that.
you know you didn't. Sandy had it in her.
I know it. Oh, it was Sandy's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that explains it.
I didn't think I bought that.
That explains
I
it.
can't even say it. How could I buy it?
Right. You don't even know what it means.
I don't know.
Moscata d'Asti. So, and look at that bottle. Sandy bought you that, right?
Yes.
It was just in her fridge. We don't know. So, let's see a couple housekeeping things. Oh, and then somebody wanted to know, because we never finished, why you're moving out of this lovely apartment that you have.
I've been here 14 years. Yeah.
Yep. But why are you moving?
Well, my daughter Sandy and her husband are 71, going to be 72.
I think, yeah.
And it's a lot of work. It's a big house, and it has a big hill going up to it.
Big, yeah.
And you got to shovel the snow.
Yeah.
And it's getting to be a lot of work. And
well, and it's what they planned anyway. They bought it and redid the whole thing.
Yes, it's gorgeous. I mean, they took a house that was in a good neighborhood that was falling apart. Location.
Yeah.
And for 14 years, and now it goes with the neighborhood now.
It's beautiful.
And, hopefully they'll make a profit. That's the idea. And but I don't think anyone will buy the house if I go with it.
You have to take it with joy.
Yeah.
Joy comes with, huh?
So they didn't tell me I had to move, but I just sensed it.
Did you sense it? Yeah.
I'm very sensitive that way. I could tell.
That's where I get my sensitivity.
Yes. I mean, when people are moving, it gives you a feeling, well, maybe I have to move too.
Maybe I should go too then, huh? Yeah.
No, we worked it out. We decided all this a long time ago.
Well, then it'll be nice because you'll be with people.
Old people.
Well, I was going to say your own age. Well, probably not your age.
No, I don't think
Probably not your age, but yeah. No, and...
it's not a nursing home yet. No.
No.
It's just a senior home.
Yeah, it's just a senior home. You don't even need assisted living home because she's so together. So... yeah, you don't.
I pretend a lot.
You don't need help with medications or your food or anything. So, but because all of your friends have passed away, pretty much.
Sadly,
Yeah.
I don't have any friends.
I don't have any friends. Do you want to be your friend? Everybody wants to be your friend. You read the comments.
Yes, but they have to live here. I mean, in the area.
Oh, don't say that. Somebody will move here just to be your friend. Yeah.
You think?
Yeah. Somebody asked if you would adopt them.
No, no.
No,
I
after 6
can't.
kids.
I can't.
No.
I can't raise people anymore.
Neither can I. I know.
No, I love people though.
Yeah.
This place I'm looking at
Yeah.
has a happy hour.
Oh, yeah. Because it was one of my clients who I did her eyebrows at the thing. And she was saying, oh, I got to leave. I got to get to happy hour. I go, happy hour? And she's like 75. And she's like, yeah, I live in, and I won't say where, and she's like, they have happy hour every night. And a lot of times it's them talking, but they can have drinks and stuff like that.
Well, you know, I've noticed more senior homes have happy hours.
Mm-hmm. You might as well drink when you're old, right? What else is there? Cheers to that.
Well, yeah. Well, you can't start till you're 18.
Yeah,
Was
nowhere
it 18?
you can't drive, so where would you go? Right. Anyway, but yeah, so it's lovely. We're actually going there tomorrow.
We're looking tomorrow. The trouble is they're so full.
Yeah.
Senior homes. If you're a senior, anybody watching, and you're, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even know I did that.
That's okay. If you're a senior, yes. If you're a senior, I get that from you.
I know.
Yeah.
I gave her all her bad habits.
You gave me the finger.
Yes. Now, what was I saying?
If you're a senior, know that there's senior homes. You got to get on a waiting list, right?
Yes. It takes a long time. You might die before you...
Well, that's when you said you're on a waiting list on another one, and there's 62.
2 people ahead of me.
And I said to her, Mom, do you want to be moving when you're 95? No, right?
I mean, I had no idea.
Yeah.
There are so many seniors out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a senior now.
Oh, but yeah.
Because I can live in
You're just pretending.
I'm pretending. I can live in the over 55 complex now, which is considered senior.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't get a senior discount. That's weird now. Used to
Yeah.
be 55. Now I think it's like 60 something.
Well, I think, you know, years ago, well, people didn't live to be so old then. They lived to be maybe not even 65. They didn't live to be.
Yeah.
But now, years ago, if 50 was considered old. Because you didn't live to be too much older.
I remember when because my mom had me when she was 36, which is weird because I had Jessie when I was 36. And when I was in high school, my mom was like the MILF, the hot mom. The guys would come over and I would cut their hair and stuff, and they would be like, oh, your mom's so pretty. And I'd be like, ew, she's 53 or something like that. I like my mom, even though you're beautiful. And yeah, so they all wanted to come over because they were all in love with you. So yeah. So you were a beautiful lady.
People 50 nowadays are not old. No.
Yes, but that's what I mean. So when back then, when you thought of 53 or 50, whatever it was, that you would think they'd have curlers in their hair with wearing a house coat with slippers and a cigarette hanging out of their mouth.
When I was young, people in their 50s looked old to me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because they dressed old. And I don't know really what I mean by that, but nowadays, people in their 50s and 60s, they dress not, I mean, they dress young.
I remember
they dress young.
I remember after Dad passed away, we were talking about you maybe moving into a senior housing, and you go, I don't want to move there. They're all old there. You were like, how old were you when Dad passed away?
In my 70s.
Yeah. She didn't want to move to a senior housing because they were all old there. But that's how young you...
I felt okay. I felt young.
Yeah.
I felt young.
So
I was still working.
Yeah, you were still working. The only reason you said you'd still be working if you didn't have the macular degeneration, right?
Yeah, I would.
Oh, I wanted to show too. Oh, your book. We'll show it tomorrow. Because my mom...
I have to find it.
Writes poetry. And she paints. I think you saw the paintings that she did. And my brother one year, we had a surprise birthday party for you, and he put together a book of poetry that she wrote. So yeah, I'll show that next time. And then somebody wanted to know, which was interesting, how many kids, we were talking about this today, how many kids you had when you got that little diamond ring, the used diamond.
Well, the little one, we were figuring out, I had 4, and then I had 2 more.
Yeah.
She wasn't here yet.
Nope.
Can you imagine?
You were just waiting, you're saving the best to last. You were just waiting for me.
Of course. And you were so content, you didn't even want to be born.
Really?
Oh, they called you a lazy baby because she wouldn't come out.
Well, then when I got here, I wasn't so lazy. What happened?
Can you guess that she wouldn't come out into the world?
I was feeling cozy in there.
No, you said, I got a good thing going here. Why should I move?
That Sandy's out there. All those other kids are out there. I want to stay in here. They were so mean to me. They used to call me fatty when I was little, and they were. When you're the youngest of 6,
I wonder we should
hard.
take a survey. Any of you out there, are you the youngest of a fairly large family? And do you feel that it's hard being the youngest?
It was.
Frank.
Because Sandy would always say, oh, you're so spoiled. You're so spoiled. Well, because you guys had nothing when Sandy was here. And it's not like I got a lot. They bought me a car, which cost like $2,000 because you guys were working. So...
Well, you were the only one with us.
I was the only one left.
Anywhere, though.
Right, yeah.
And so we had to take you with us.
Oh, thanks. We had to take you.
No, you were... it probably is hard being the youngest.
It is because people, well, and then everybody has to babysit you. And so you're always just considered in the way. And when we used to play the Osmonds all the time, remember?
Yes.
I always had to be Jimmy Osmond. Kim got to be Donnie Osmond. And we would all put lipstick on and she'd come out. That's when we lived on Marion. And we'd all be like, Donnie!
My daughter Kim was such a tomboy, and she loved Donny Osmond.
Yep. We had all the Osmond records.
And there was my son he was after Kim. Well, no, he was before Kim. He was older than Kim.
Yes, he was.
My son Al. And when he would outgrow his clothes, she would take them. She said, give me all of Al. I want his clothes. She liked to dress like a boy. Mm-hmm. And she was a tomboy. She really was a tomboy. And she loved the Osmonds, and they'd sing their songs and everything. But she turned out to be quite feminine, didn't she?
And speaking of that, I just want to, so somebody had just written from South Africa. South Africa. Isn't that crazy that people can see us from South Africa?
I think it's wonderful, yeah.
And a couple of people wrote that they wish that they had, the relationship, because some people don't have, a relationship with their parent, a good one.
It's hard.
But,
it's hard,
and I don't want to fool anybody, because it's not like this with all the kids. There's, Pam was estranged on her own accord for a while, till she had her strokes, and we found her. And then there's another one that's estranged and not for any reason, and that's why I say I just don't want to see this is like it always is with. But even in our family, it's not. Do you mean everybody has their
Well, they become adults.
They
and they have
become adults, yes.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
But I think that's a given. I mean, if you have a large family, your kids are all going to, when they grow up to be adults, they're going to have different lifestyles. They're going to have different philosophies of life, different political views. I mean, it's and sometimes those things divide. They really do. Yep. Sometimes they don't. Years ago, they didn't, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think that it was so passionate years ago.
Well, and that's...
I don't think so.
That's just kind of the...
I'm not sure.
The temperature of the state of the
It didn't feel like it was.
Now.
Anyway. Yeah.
But yeah, so I just want people to know too. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not fooling anybody. Like, we have a real normal family.
Yes, very normal.
Very normal.
Very normal.
Very we're kind of abnormal normal.
Well, I think you being the youngest is maybe, I think the youngest maybe is closer to their parents because you are with us when you're like an only child.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
She was like, we almost bought you a horse.
Yeah, till that guy said, oh, if she's not going to see it every day, don't buy it for her.
Well, it's true. The other kids grew up. They got married. They, had families of their own. And we always got together on holidays. We did until the pandemic, actually.
Yeah.
All of us, every one of us. And all the grandchildren. But anyway...
So let's go back because I just want to...
Okay.
Because it's already 16 minutes in.
Oh,
I know it goes by fast, doesn't it?
It does.
So anyway, talking about kids, that's where we left off. So you and Dad, you manifested Dad. You prayed for him every night. You guys walking down the beach. Dad called you. You hung up on him, called you back. And then you guys got married. And you were 19 and he was 20. And then what happened after that?
Oh, goodness. Well, I mean, it was kind of just boring and normal.
When did you have your first kid?
Well, let's see, Sandy was, probably about a year and a half later. Okay. When Sandy was born.
That was Sandy.
Yeah. And the thing is, again, a lot of young couples didn't have much money. When Al got, and then he had just gotten out of the service, he found a job, and it ended up, that's what he was in his whole life. He ended up having his
He's a lithographer.
Yes.
But he didn't have his own company, so my dad was a very, very, very hard worker.
Oh, yeah.
And you stayed home with 6 kids.
I didn't have them yet. I haven't had them yet.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're not that far into we're only at chapter 3. What am I thinking? Even I don't know the story, and I lived it. Part of it. Okay.
I was trying to say, when we got married, he had just gotten out of the service. He had to find a job. And yes, I married a man who didn't even have a job.
I didn't know that.
I didn't care. But
you manifested him. You finally got him. Who cares if he has a job?
No,
did you ask for that when you were walking down the beach that he had a job?
No. I knew he was a good fella.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, when we got married, then it was soon, and he had a job now, and he made $25 a week. $25 a week.
Ooh.
But then the prices, you could get a bag of potato chips for 5 cents.
Yeah.
A bag.
How much was rent back then?
Well, how much was what?
Rent. Did you guys buy the house on Marion? No, you lived on Ivy.
We rented this little...
Ivy, right?
Right next to the drugstore, remember? We rented... Well, you weren't even... Why
are you asking me? When did you live on Ivy? Didn't you live on Ivy for a while?
Oh, that was when we bought a house.
That was Marion.
We rented there. No, but this is when we first married. We rented this little apartment attached to an old house, and the kitchen floor went this way, and it only had a toilet. It didn't have a bathroom, and it didn't have hot water.
Oh my God!
And it it was cheap though.
Well, I bet, with
And-
no bathroom.
And well, I had a toilet.
Well,
And but no cold water. I mean, no hot water.
how did you wash yourself?
With cold water, we heated it in the kitchen.
I didn't know any of this.
I know.
Wow,
Well,
you were
you
roughing
weren't there.
it. Well,
you weren't there.
I wasn't there.
It was years before you were born. So anyway, we had paper drapes. They sold. That's how poor people were. They sold paper drapes.
Really?
Paper drapes, and they make noises.
They
you know?
crunched.
Yeah, they were crunchy.
Did you blow your nose on them if you needed? You were sitting on the couch.
You probably could have. And we had orange crates turned upside down for end tables and coffee table.
Really?
They really were quite lovely. I have to
That's
say.
called IKEA now.
That's called IKEA now. Right. Only they weren't even white. They were just wood. And I mean, it was very sparse. But, and I know the style then were these big pillows you put on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any big pillows. So I put 2 little pillows on the floor. My cousin Leona came to visit, and all she did was point and laugh so hard she couldn't even talk. She said, "Are those your floor pillows?" I said, yeah. I said, "Till I can afford some big ones. Those are my floor pillows." They actually were for watching TV.
Mm-hmm.
You know, only they were really big, the ones.
Did you work when you and Dad first got married?
No. Then women didn't work. Your dad never really wanted me to work.
No, he didn't.
No.
Yes.
No. So then, things got better. He got a raise, you know, and then of course we did. We bought that house in New Brighton.
Oh, I didn't know.
It was a really good deal. A new house that wasn't finished. I mean, it was built, and the outside, it put, you know, it had stuff on the outside and everything, but the inside, the woodwork wasn't varnished or sanded, and the floor wasn't, and so you had to finish the inside.
Did Dad do that?
Yes.
He's very handy.
And it didn't have any grass, and we had a cornfield across the street. I mean, we only lived there about no longer than 2 years because Dad was a city boy.
Yeah.
He didn't like the country, and he didn't like living out there.
And it's funny because he's not really city either.
No, he just likes
The suburbs. He's more of a suburban guy.
I mean, he never been on a farm. But anyway, and so we only lived there about 2 years, and he had finished the inside. And so we sold it, and of course we made some money because it was finished on the inside then. And then that's when we rented on Ivy. There was this house on Ivy, really huge, really big, with an upstairs, and they rented the upstairs. And then Al's brother had just come home from the service.
Uncle Jim, yeah.
Jim, and
Because isn't that where they live?
he had just gotten married, yeah. And the people that we rented from there were going to sell the house. And so Jim and Eleanor, that was his wife's name, Eleanor, and
They're still alive.
they were looking for a house. And so it was a duplex, you know, and we were living upstairs. And so if they could have the downstairs, they said they would go in with it and buy it. So we bought it together.
Oh, I didn't know that. I know that because then they ended up living there like the rest of their lives.
Well, then we
bought him out, bought you out.
And then we lived there for quite a few years.
Did you have Sandy while you were on Ivy?
Oh yeah, I had Sandy, and Albert was just born. And
Okay,
that's
so
when
tell
we
them-
moved on Marion.
Tell them all the kids. So there's Sandy.
There's Sandy and there's Chris. And
Chris came right after. So they were only like 18 months or something like
They
that.
were
but-
real close.
Yeah, so Sandy and Chris, and then Pam, Al, Kim, and me. And the rest of us were like about 4 years apart.
Yeah.
So you had Sandy and Chris and Al on Ivy.
Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes.
No, yes, no, yes. Oh, and then I want to tell the story.
Sorry.
I want you to tell.
I did have them.
I want you to tell the story too. And I don't know, do you have that picture? Remember where Dad? So my dad is very blue collar, very hard to explain. Just like soft, not soft spoken, but do you know what I mean? Unless he was like really had something to say.
Oh, he never argued.
Yeah,
never.
he just But
hardly ever argued. Yeah.
So how old were you when he submitted your picture?
Oh, that's when we were first married, and we rented that house with Oni and Tess. We did that. That was again right after we were married.
Okay, so tell the story about what Dad did with your picture.
Oh, well, he just had a picture of me taken in those machines. It was one of those that had a metal thing around, and you took it in a machine.
Yeah.
And it came out. A picture of me, and he sent it in to a beauty contest.
And that is not my dad. My dad is not anything about like beauty or anything like that. What?
And he sent it in. He never told me.
He never told her.
Yeah. And then, well, it was for Minnesota. I mean, the beauty it was a nationwide contest, but it was for Minnesota. And so they picked one from each state, and then you picked the really top winner. So it was just for Minnesota. But so one day I get this phone call, and they ask for me, and I say, this is she, and he said it was the Dispatch, and can we come out and take your picture? You won for Minnesota on this contest, and I didn't even know I was entering.
And what was the contest for? What was it? You were Miss?
Now I can't even remember.
Miss Stardust.
Miss Stardust, that was it. Anyway, the thing is, they want you to pose in a bathing suit, a real glamorous picture, and I was only.
And what year was this?
This was right after we were married.
So what year did you get married?
Well, 1949.
40. You're looking at me like I know. Yeah.
It's 48 or 49, and
okay.
I think it's 1949.
And so they wanted you
No, Sandy was born in 1949. We were married in 1948. Yeah.
So they wanted you to pose in a bathing suit? I bet Dad didn't know that.
Well, Dad wasn't even home when they came out. I mean, he was at work. So anyway, but they wanted me to be glamorous, look glamorous. And so anyway, the guy came, and we lived in this house. It wasn't fancy. We were renting it with my cousin Leona and her husband. And I was ready. I had a long skirts were in style.
Do you have that picture anywhere around?
Oh, Sandy has it packed with the
okay. Otherwise, I would have inserted it. But
well, maybe you can get it out one day.
Well,
but
someday, yeah.
All my pictures are packed away.
Yep.
But anyway, and so he said, "Do you have something you can sit on, like a stool or something like that?" And I said, "We didn't have much furniture." And I said, "Well, I found an old." Round cheese box, yeah.
Cheese box?
It was about this high.
Yeah.
And it was round. And so I put that down, and I sat down on that. And he said, "Cross your legs." And I had a long skirt on, and he pulled the skirt just a tiny bit above my knee.
Scandalous.
And then he told me to go like this.
It was like this.
It was like,
yeah.
I can't remember now.
Yeah.
Anyway, and he took my picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was it. He was really nice and everything. And then later I saw they never gave me a notice. They never called. I never heard after that. But anyway, eventually they did have the picture of the beautiful woman that won. Mm-hmm. And on the front page of the paper, because then there wasn't that much news, I guess, and they put stuff like that on the front page. And there wasn't.
Oh, I wish we could go back to that there wasn't much to put on. But
well, there wasn't Facebook and all that. The news was in the paper. But it was a picture of her, and she was upside down. She was laying with her legs crossed like this, and her head back, and she had long, beautiful hair, and her long, beautiful hair was hanging down, and she was smiling, and she had a thing of flowers around her neck. She was beautiful, and she was in a bathing suit. And she won.
Why did they have her upside down?
Well, it was a glamour picture.
Oh.
She was laying with her legs up, and so her
Oh,
long
I
hair
see.
would hang
Oh,
out.
I thought she was like hanging upside.
No, it wasn't. I'm not very good at describing stuff.
I get it. I get it.
I mean, but she was gorgeous, and she won. And I didn't.
But you were in the paper because there was that picture
Yeah,
of you.
that was in the Minnesota. Yeah.
Yeah, in the Minnesota.
Yeah.
You won for Minnesota, right?
I won for Minnesota.
Yes.
Yes. And
But that's weird because Dad submitted you and you didn't even know, and that is not like my dad.
no, it's not like him. But we were just married, and he was starstruck. Yeah.
Oh, he was starstruck.
Well,
That's you were still in the honeymoon phase, right?
yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I think that's what I mean. It was soon after we were
Yeah.
married. It was, all that went by so fast because we were looking for places to live, and we even put a trailer in. We thought, I don't know, we were just young and stupid, really, really. As far as a place to live, we didn't even think about that when we decided to get married. I mean, it was just,
Let's get married.
we want to get married, and that's what we did. So, and we had a nice wedding. I mean, that kind of wedding, nice. With all the relatives and all the food, the old-fashioned kind, and we polkaed and did the bunny hop, and they don't do that at weddings anymore.
Well, I think they do sometimes.
Do they?
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. And my mother wanted to go with us on our honeymoon. She was crying. Why am I laughing? That's not really funny.
That
is
sounds
it?
like Grandma. That doesn't, yeah.
Well, I'm an only child.
Yeah.
See, that's
Yeah.
right. But anyway, that's the way the first year
So
was.
then after Ivy, then when did you buy the house on Marion?
After we moved, when we decided, we lived there a few years, and then my son Al was born, and we decided we didn't want to live upstairs anymore, and it was getting crowded, and then we bought a house just a block away.
Yeah, we lived right by there.
And we moved there. I remember Al was a baby. Are you the one, or was it Sandy? No, you're not you.
You wasn't around
you
yet.
weren't born
Yeah.
yet. Sandy carried little Al, down. I remember it was on a spring day, and she had him bundled up, and she carried him from the house because we were moving furniture because it was only a block away.
Really, yeah.
It was only
a
block
block away. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we lived there for 15 years, long time.
Till we moved to I was born.
You were born there.
On Marion. Yep.
Yeah.
And we used to have, it was a good neighborhood because there were a lot of kids.
Yes, a lot
The
of kids.
Strunces.
And the church, we could just walk to the church.
And that was back in the day. So we would play outside. We'd go home and drop all of our stuff and just run outside right away. And we all played in the streets and played hide and seek. And I remember we wouldn't go up and knock on the door. I'd stand outside. Dawn Struntz was my best friend.
It was a community.
She lived only like 3 doors down. And you'd stand on the sidewalk and you go, "Oh, Donnie." And she'd come out. And then Mr. Lonergan, when it was like dinner time and getting dark, he'd go out and he'd say, "Peter, Larry."
He had a voice like a foghorn, and he would go, "Pete."
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yep. And then next door, so we have these bushes in between. Oh, they were kind of scary. The mom and the son lived next
they
door.
were kind of scary. Yes.
And the son was older and the mom was older. But they had rhubarb.
She was really nice, though.
Yeah. Well, when you're that little,
Yeah.
you don't know. And they had rhubarb on the other side, of the bushes.
Yes.
So we'd go steal the rhubarb. And remember back then, you'd pull the rhubarb out from the root, and then you'd cut the end of it. It had this huge leaf on it. And then we'd cut it, and we'd wash it, and then just stick it in sugar. It makes my mouth water just even thinking about it. And we'd stick it in sugar and just eat the rhubarb.
That's what your kids loved. I know.
we stole it.
Every year when the rhubarb came, she would give me some, and I'd make rhubarb pie, which was Al's most favorite.
And
rhubarb
you would cook all the time. We would come home from school, and our school was a good 20-minute walk.
Yes. And they walked it every day. They even came home for lunch.
Yeah, that's what I say. We'd walk there, then we walk home for school, literally get like 10 minutes to eat.
Yes.
And then go back. And I remember, like, we'd have hot dogs, or we'd have chicken a la king. Does anybody remember where you boil it in the bag, and then you'd have white bread, and you'd just pour it over the white bread?
And Friday, fish sticks on Friday.
Oh, yeah, the lid. Oh, remember the whole fillet of fish?
Yes.
My fillet story, where I ordered the fillet. I thought I was ordering fish, and they gave me a steak. Because I didn't know.
We were very high class.
We never ate steak.
No,
All we
never
had
did.
was hamburger. I said that's why I put ketchup on everything, because I would come home, I'd be like, what are we having? Meatloaf. What are we having? Hamburger helper. What are we having? Hamburgers. What are we having? Like every night it was something with hamburger. But you said you guys would buy like half a cow or something?
When we got a freezer, a few times we did buy. And then we still had a lot of hamburger in there. We had a lot of it made into hamburger.
So a lot of our...
it's easy to make dishes.
Well,
like
and there
that.
were 8 people to make it for.
Yeah.
And lunches. And so...
And I baked bread every week.
She baked, and you baked a lot, like pies and cookies, and you love to bake.
And then on Saturday, I would make, everybody watch TV, and on Saturday and Sunday, and I would make caramel popcorn. Do you remember that? And popcorn?
Oh, vaguely, now that you say that, yeah.
And remember that time I gave you that birthday party and you had a taffy pull?
Yes.
It was such a success. The taffy turned out
that's
perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember the time I had a surprise party at Grandma's.
Grandma Bars?
No.
No. Grandma's. Yeah.
Yeah. And she would, Grandma Hayes. Remember when she lived in that old brownstone?
Yeah.
And then I showed up, and because I used to go over to Grandma Hayes' house, and I was the one closest to her, and we played like Kings in a Corner. We'd stay up all night playing card games.
To do stuff like that.
Yeah. So that was fun. So then, because then Dad started working for Bob.
Well, he went into partnership. Oh no, he worked part-time with them, and then they became partners.
Yeah, so
we lived on Marion.
He worked for Bob. He was a lithographer, so that's printing. And then he did such a good job. He was such a hard worker that Bob hired him, or brought him on as a partner.
Well, Bob had just started the business, and it got too much for him, and he hired Al to work part-time, and they became really good friends. And pretty soon Bob said he needed a partner because it was getting so big. And Al became his partner, and they were together for a long time. For a long time.
And Dad was...
And then Dad retired.
And Dad worked on the line. Bob wore the suit and was in the office and did more of the, I think...
He did the customer thing. Yeah.
And Dad was with the guys on the line.
Yeah.
And I remember every morning, my mom would make him a lunch in a brown paper bag, and you would always draw a heart on it and write, I love you. Yeah, and he'd carry it to work with all these blue collar guys. And then Uncle
Bob always worked for Dad.
My Uncle Bob worked for my dad his whole life.
Yeah.
So show him your tattoo. So that's the heart she would draw on every bag, right? Pretty much.
Yes, that's the heart.
So you got her first tattoo when she was 80. We're not there yet, but...
It's never too late, guys.
It's never too late to get a tattoo after you go zip-lining in Nicaragua and come home and want to get a tattoo. And now how many tattoos do you have?
3.
And what are they of?
Hearts. They're hearts.
The same thing.
They're hearts.
Yep. So, okay, so where are we at now? We are in the 20s. So you had... Al, and then Pam was born. And so Pam, she's the one here that's in the assisted living home, and Pam was born, she had some complications when she was born.
And she needed 6 or 7 surgeries right away after she was born.
And back then, because there's reasons why things I think happen to people, that's what I say. And you had the other kids. There was no like family leave or anything. Dad had to keep working.
Yeah.
And you had the other kids at home. And Pam had these operations, and she was basically in and out of the hospital for what, the first 5 years of her life?
The first 5 years. She had 7 operations within 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Poor baby.
Poor baby. Yeah. And so, but back then, like I said, you couldn't be with them all the time.
No.
And didn't you say, could you not see her for a while?
No.
When she was born?
They took her right away. I did take her home for a few days, and then they took her right away after that to Children's Hospital, and she was there for months. And they kept her in a glass room, and Al and I could only look at her through the glass. There was a nurse in there holding her and feeding her, or she was sleeping. But I always thought that was a mistake. Of course, I'm not a doctor, but I suppose germs. They thought germs. But anyway.
But it's really important to bond.
But I think a lot of that was, that she didn't get that touch.
That initial.
That touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she's had some problems. But
Probably,
yeah, and we think, really, you can't really blame her because that was that's a tough timing thing to go back there, and Dad had to keep working because he had to pay the mortgage and stuff, and you had the other kids to take care of.
Besides Pam, that's made Pam suffer a lot.
It has, her whole life, yes. Yeah, and I think that's why she doesn't trust people, and she's really a loner.
Yeah. And
it's hard for her to be close to anybody.
Yeah.
Even her own family.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so then, let's see, after you had Pam, then you had Kim, and during those years, when did Dad build, then we'll kind of wrap this up and wait for chapter 4, but when did Dad build the cabin?
He started building the cabin when we lived on Marion.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he came from a big family, and he always wanted to have a cabin by the lake. And he found a lot. His brother did. And there was one right next to it for sale, and it was very reasonable. I think it was something like $1,000, which back then was not much money for a lot. It costs a lot more now. And it had a really beautiful sandy shoreline and everything. And so he bought the lot, and Dick bought the one next to it.
That's how close they were.
And but the thing is, Al really knew how to make a penny. He wasn't stingy or anything, but he sure can handle money.
I was going to say that too. We'll kind of wrap on this for now.
Yeah.
But isn't it interesting that in a family, the different, I can find a deal. Do you know what? I'm a penny pincher. You know what I mean? Like Dad. I'm like Dad. Yeah. Sandy's like Dad. And then there's a couple of them that they'd have $1 and it'd burn a hole in their pocket.
But just real quick, that lot, what we did is he was a partner in the company again, and every so many 2 months, I think, or 3 months, they had the, what do you call it?
The shares, or they got a bonus or something?
They got bonus.
Yeah.
They got a bonus. And they would take the surplus and they would split it 3 ways. One goes back in the company, one goes to Bob, and one goes to Al. And so he would take that bonus and he'd buy what he needed. Like if it was lumber, when he was doing, he would buy the lumber. And then he would build and use all of that. And then he would wait till he got the next bonus, and then he would buy. So he paid for it as he built it. So by the time it was done, it was all paid for.
And that's how I am. You know me. I save my cash. I put it away, $20, whatever it is. Because if I want something like my eye surgeries, I would save until I had enough to go get it done. And so that's why I got one done every 2 years, because it seems like that's what I could save in that amount of time. Because I never want to be in debt, and I won't get something until I have the money to pay for it. So get that from Dad.
Yeah, I think it's hereditary. Yeah.
And some of us.
Your daughter, her daughter Jessie, is
just
just
like
like that.
Yep.
She has respect for money,
Yes.
and she knows how to handle it.
Yes. Yes.
And if she wants something, she waits till she saves the money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or she asked me first.
Yeah, well, that's easier.
Yeah, that's easier.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's 45 minutes. I know.
I can't believe it.
I know, it goes by fast, doesn't it?
Yes,
And we
it
didn't even
does.
we only got through not even the 30s. So we'll have to think of, like, if anything happened.
Well, it was pretty much just living
They-
for all
yeah.
those years. I mean,
But, okay, so the next thing is how old, well, I was born then. Then the next thing we'll come to was when I was born.
oh,
Tracy's
yeah.
birth story. Chapter 4. Tracy's birth story.
We'll spend 30 minutes
Yeah,
on that,
well,
guys.
an hour. Yeah.
For one thing, she didn't want to come. She didn't want to
Yeah.
come.
I'm a lazy baby.
Lazy
Yeah.
baby. Yeah.
All right. Well, that went by really fast.
Well, that wasn't too interesting, but anyway.
Oh, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
I don't even know half the stuff when you tell me. So
She's
it's interesting
learning.
for me. Yeah.
Yes.
So go out and make an adventure,
Yes.
no matter how big or how small. Doesn't matter what it is. Get off the couch and just even go for a walk, right?
Yes.
Yep. You don't
And
have
what
to
is
sell
it?
it. You don't have to sell everything and move into a van, right? To make an adventure.
No, you don't.
No. And go call someone you love
And tell someone you love them.
and tell someone you love them. I love you.
I love you too. I love
That's
you.
simple. I love you. You pointed. I love you.
I know. I know. Arrows of love. That's what pointing is. Yes.
And
It'll be more interesting next time.
it's still interesting.
I'll make something up.
Yeah, let's think tonight. Let's have a couple drinks and see what we can make up.
I'm really Spider Woman. Yes.
Where'd that come from? Pew pew. I worked for Marvel Comics for Stan Lee,
She
who
did,
created
she
Spider-Man.
did,
Well,
yeah,
Pam did.
yeah.
And then I worked there. Okay, and the last thing, what we do, we don't forget.
Don't forget your magic.
And,
Is that it?
Yeah, you said it like a question. Don't forget your magic. Ready? We'll say it together.
I'll say it like a question, and then you say
No,
it with an exclamation mark.
We'll both say it with an exclamation mark. Okay? Ready?
okay,
One.
okay. And
1, 2, 3, and don't forget your magic. Ta-da! Okay. We'll see you for chapter 4. Another page turner. Okay?
oh
Oh.
gosh.
Tracy's birth story coming up. Bye, guys. See you tomorrow.